Hello friends, welcome to bsvtrainings.com, and today I'm going to show you how to perform cost allocation in Financial Cube. So we are continuing to building our Financial Cube, and in the previous session how to build your account hierarchy, balance sheet and income statement. In the same continuation we are going to build our Financial Cube, and I'm going to show you how to perform allocation. So how allocation work actually, before we do it in Essbase, I like to give you a basic example how allocation work. We'll talk about three kind of allocation: proportional, linear and percent based allocation. This is fairly simple. According to the allocation rules or definition, allocate values from a member or cross dimension member. In our example we are going to allocate payroll expenses to all the children. The down arrow represents the allocation, where you input value to the parent and it cascade down to all the children. So my payroll expense in turn cascade down to commissions, salaries, other bonus and annual bonus. So it could be value or a cross dimension. Maybe I like to see payroll expenses with respect to budget payroll expenses from a value across member list. So I want to allocate this value at parent level to all the children. Allocation is based on variety of criteria. We're going to talk about different criteria: spread allocation, linear and based on percentage. So before we actually do it in Essbase, let's see how it look like in Excel. For the sake of simplicity, I've already made a model over here. If you see, look at our outline structure first. This is my outline structure. Under account dimension we have a hierarchy called income statement, where we have expenses, which in turn has people cost, payroll expenses and type of payroll expenses, commission, salaries, bonus and annual. Standard behavior of Essbase is allocation, where children value goes to the parent. I want standard behavior is consolidation, sorry, the children value goes to parent. I want allocation, therefore I want value to be loaded at parent level and it should cascade down to all the children. So if it is linear allocation, if it's a linear allocation, the value you input to the parent and it goes down to the children. Let me graphically show you this way. I have a payroll expenses and these are type of allocation. Okay. So generally what happen, the type of payroll expenses, sorry. So generally what happen, you input value to the children and it roll out to the parent. And with this up arrow represent this. But this time we want allocation, where I input value to the parent and it should go down to the children. How the value will go down to the children from parent depends upon what criteria you apply. Okay. For the sake of simplicity, let's say if this is the value of parent, payroll expense is 1000 and number of children are 4. So we divide 1000 divided by 4. So 250 would be allocated to all the children. It goes to 250 everywhere. This is a linear allocation. A parent value equally distribute to all the children. Second allocation may be based on certain drivers. So let's say this is my budget value. I want the allocation to be taken place based on my previous year actual. So I have a member over here called prior actual, and the value would be distributed according to previous year actual. Okay, so let's take the value is 5000 in my case. So let's say prior year actual, this is my previous year actual value. And if we look at it in terms of percentage, let's say actual, prior year actual in terms of percentage, value percentage. So if I represent the same number in terms of percentage, it would be the parent value, children value divided by parent value into 100. Right? Or I just keep this value and I display this in terms of percentage. So this 20% goes to commission from my total payroll expenses, 20% goes to commission. Similarly, D7 I constant, I fix it. So I apply dollar operator. Similarly, other elements like 60% goes to salaries, 10% goes to other bonus and annual bonus. Right? Let's display this in terms of percentage. So I right click and display format percent value. Now I want to allocate this 5,000 to my all children of payroll in the same proportion. So how do? You take 5,000 multiply how much percent? 20% should goes to this. And similarly I copy and paste. I keep my E7 constant, so apply dollar, and I see 5,000 would be allocated to my children accordingly. This is proportional allocation. 5,000, 20% goes to this, 60% goes to this, and 10%, 10% respectively. So the first example was linear, value was equally distributing to all the children. Second example, the allocation based on driver. There's one more kind of allocation your Essbase support based on percent allocation. Okay, so rather than giving the values, here the percentage is given. Okay, so let's say percentage is like it's gonna be 10%, commission is 10%, 60% your salary, and 15%. Annual bonus 20% and other bonus 10%. So it is in terms of percentage as well. So alternatively, I can take this value multiply by this value. It is displaying in terms of percentage. So while displaying this value, either I can display as 0.1 or display as prefix as percentage. Right. So this is my allocation going to be 5,000, 10% goes to this. 10% is 60% is this, and 20% annual bonus, and 10% other bonus. So E7 remain constant and D3 changes. This is percent value. So 10%, 60%, 10%, 20% respectively. Now let's see how to do this in Essbase. In Essbase, there's a function called alloc function. And what is an argument of alloc function? Alloc function, this is a syntax. First is amount to be allocated, allocation range. In this example, I'm allocating payroll expenses. Allocation range is your children of payroll expenses. Basis member, I'm allocating based on prior year of actual. Okay, and other arguments are optional. You see the one except the method, other arguments are optional because they appear in square braces. So let's say first proportional allocation, which is standard. So if you look at in this example, I fix this on 400,011, which is my payroll expenses. I apply fix on this number 400,011 payroll expenses, and I want to allocate this value to budget. Budget is my target, and we use allocate function. First argument is total budget value, this value to be distributed. This is the argument. First argument value is I want let me make it a little bigger. I want the one which is marked with green color to be allocate budget intersection with my payroll expenses. This value to be allocated with the children of payroll expenses, right, based upon previous year of actual. And the method is called share, which is called your allocation based on a driver called prior year of actual. This is going to be your uh, distribution of values according to prior year of actual, or you can call proportional value. So that to make it easy to understand, we put some sample numbers. First for prior year. So this is 100, 600, 200 and 1000, 100. So I write back this and we consolidate this value to the parent level. So I run standard consolidation calc called default consolidation. So all value goes to parent, and in terms of percentage it's 10, 60, 20 and 10. So this is a prior year actual. I want to allocate this 1500 to my children. So when you perform allocation, the parent value should be store only. Then only you can input value from parent children. I want this 1500 to be allocated to all the children based on my prior year of actual. So it is 10%, 60%, 20%, 10%. I've already written a formula. Let's validate this. No error and execute. When you execute this and refresh this, you get this output, right? You can manually validate as well. So 10% goes to this. If I display value percentage, this is going to be children divided by parent. Okay, D7 constant. This is in terms of percentage. So I display format cell and display in terms of percentage. This is my allocation 10, 60, 20 and 10. If I multiply this value to budget value calculation, 10% of this E7 remain constant, multiply by how much percentage? 10%. The first value should be 1500 and remaining 4 values should be 900, 300, 150. Therefore my allocation is perfectly fine. This is proportional allocation. We can make a linear or standard allocation where the parent value goes to children equally. Okay, so in order to perform standard allocation, you can remove this share and put over here I want to allocate to all the percentage. So the argument is last argument shared. You can write a spread. Okay, so I do spreading, and because you define skip missing, I want to miss skip the missing value. So the next argument I pass as skip missing. Validate no error and run it. So now the parent value will equally allocate to all the children. Okay, let's see this. Refresh. You see parent value equally allocate to all the children, which is 25, 25, 25, 25 percentage. This is spreading, equal spreading. We also have one more option where we can apply percentage. So you can write percent allocation. Save this, validate. You just change the allocation method. And how percentage work? So the prior year, these numbers are defined as percentage. Assume this is my percent, 10%, 60%, 20% and 10%. It is in terms of percentage. And I submit this value. 1500 would be allocated to all the children according to the percent value defined over here. This value considered as a percentage. Okay. So last argument change to percentage, validate, no error, and then you run it. When you refresh, you find 10% of 1500 is 150, 60%, 20%, and 10% respectively. So the only difference lies over here. Rather than I use value, I use percentage. In addition to this, we also have got option called incremental allocation, where you incrementally allocate value. For example, I have a member called revise budget. I need to add one member called revise budget first. Go to your outline. In your scenario, add one more member called revise budget. So based on budget, I'm going to calculate my revised budget. I added one more member called revised budget. Let's refresh this. Make sure you spell it correctly. A revised budget. So in order to perform addition, the last argument pass as an addition. So whatever value you define for budget, it would be an extension to this, an addition of this value. Okay. So last argument pass as add. Take the same code and change this argument percentage to add. So based upon your prior year actual, rather than using prior year actual, I use budget. Based on your budget, your revised budget would be calculated. Validate, no error, and then you run it. And you refresh and you find this value. So 1500 plus 150 is 1650. 1500 plus 900, 2400. 1800 is 150. This is incremental budget, revised budget value. So what if your budget is increment by 150, 900, 300, 150? This is second option. We have revised budget for incremental. The revised budget could be negative as well. So rather than using add, you pass an argument as subtract as well. It works in that way as well. So that's all about the basic allocation part 1. Do watch my next video where I'm going to talk about how to use cross dimension allocation called allocate function. That's it for today. Should you have any question, please visit our site BSP Solutions or bsptrainings.com. Thank you.